Shut up and sit down.
Hey guys, sketchE here, and I'm just re-recording the second half of my hardcore sketchy opinion on hardcore fans. They have really, in my mind, destroyed a lot of things, and I understand that hardcore fans are what's important to keep things going. They are usually the people who are bringing in the most money to any industry, but sometimes they're the things that cause the most harm. And what I wanted to talk about in the second half is wrestling specifically. Now, I'm a big wrestling fan, and, well, to a certain degree. I'm the kind of wrestling fan who wants to just watch pay-per-views. That's all I do. I don't watch I don't watch Raw. I don't watch SmackDown. But at one point, I was watching literally everything. And at this point, just to have the fans at shows completely ruin, completely shit on damned good matches is really frustrating, really annoying to sit here and watch sometimes. And there's two prime examples of this, and that's what I really wanted to talk about. The first biggest one to me is, I can't remember when it was, but earlier this year, there was a match, and it was for the new Universal title. And a lot of people have given their opinion on this, a lot of people have said something about this, and the fact that a lot of people hate the look of the title, they hate the name, there's so much around it that people just hate. And that's fine, it's one thing to have your opinion. It's another thing to completely shit on the match for something that isn't related to the match. Now, what I'm talking about is the match between Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. This was, to some, a dream match. This is a big match, and people are going to shit on it because of the look of the belt. I'm not even joking. The moment people saw that thing, they had a problem. They were yelling, screaming, stupid stuff. I couldn't understand what they were saying, but according to someone who was there, the things that they were chanting were about the belt, the look, the image of this symbol of the championship, not about the match itself. It's one of those things where there's a time and a place. And the place was fine, but the timing was just so god-awful. They could have booed the shit, they could have done all these stupid chants before the match and after the match, and every gap they got a chance, every time the thing came on. But the moment the match starts, why not pay attention to what's actually going on? Pay attention to the stories, pay attention to the athletes who are working their ass off. A man got injured and is going to be out for a long time in that match that the fans absolutely shit on. Just think about that for half a second. You guys basically said, we don't care about what you're doing in this ring because that thing over there looks stupid. Does that make any fucking sense to you guys? And this is just from, honestly, I'm not a hardcore fan. I don't consider myself one. So from my perspective, this is all stupid whining. It really is. When you're sitting there and saying, oh, the belt looks stupid and that's the reason to be miserable, it's annoying. Another thing that people complain about a lot, and it's less so now, but when I originally did this, it was a lot bigger, is getting who you want in the main event picture, getting who you want as that big important person. And here's the thing with wrestling. It's not a regular sport. It's not real. But the fact that and that's one of the things that kind of makes it interesting. A lot of people have talked about how the fact that Brock Lesnar in his second or third match in the UFC was for a title is very out of the norm for UFC. That's almost a wrestling mindset. where you're looking at the person and, oh my god, this person is big, he's intimidating, he should get a chance at the title, as opposed to looking at their records. I don't think he even had a good record at the time. But what I'm specifically talking about there is Roman Reigns and literally everything surrounding him. Now, I am an admitted Roman Reigns fan. He was probably my favorite in the Shield, mainly for the way he fought, the way he wrestled. He was this hard-hitting, heavy-impact kind of person, and that is something that entertains me. I might have mentioned before, I do not like the ground wrestling. That's basically based on the order of uploading these videos that I do. But I do not like most mat wrestling because it's literally just one guy putting in a headlock or putting in a chin lock or something, and then they sit there for minutes. And that's boring to me. That's not... Yes, it is wrestling, because I've had some minor experience, nothing like I didn't wrestle in high school or anything like that, but I've wrestled with my friends, and it wasn't just one person sitting there in a headlock for 20 minutes. Sometimes it was, because that's what my friends knew, that's what my friends did. But I was sitting there and I was just like, okay, you done yet? You tired yet? And that's usually how it would go, is the person who was performing it ended up worse off than me. And that might just say something about my friends, that might just say something about me. Sorry. But that's not entertaining to me. But that's what a lot of people seem to want sometimes. They're cheering for the guys who do that, and not for the kind of people who put on good shows. For instance, I was not a big fan of Daniel Bryan, and he's a big part of this. He really is. No matter how much anyone wants to say anything against the matter and say that, no, it's just Roman, we just don't like him and the things around him, Daniel Bryan is a key facet in this whole puzzle. And I didn't like him at first. I really didn't. It's when he got up and started moving around, when he was running, he was doing the back and forth, the knee, the drop kicks, all of that stuff, when he's up and moving, that's entertaining to me. I'm a big fan of the flippy shit. That's just the kind of the fan I am. And to see everyone just latch onto this person, and he has an amazing backstory, I'm not going to deny that. He was put in some amazing storylines, and he just kind of naturally did his thing and got over. And that's great. That's good for him. That's not my problem with the matter. My problem is that if we were to rewind and go back to 2014 Royal Rumble, and you want to look at it and tell me, should Daniel Bryan have won that match, 2015 I think it was, actually my mistake, and gone on to face Brock Lesnar? Would you? Would you have put Daniel Bryan in that match against Brock Lesnar? Knowing what we know now, not even knowing what we know now, you would have taken a man who had just come back from injury. Literally, that was his first match back, if I remember correctly, was the Royal Rumble. And you would have taken that, had him win, and then 2 months later, gone against Brock Lesnar, someone who was throwing John Cena around like a fucking ragdoll. This would have been fine to you guys. You would have had no problem with taking someone who recently had a neck injury, handed him to a fucking monster, and had him hurled around the ring 20-something times. You would have done that? Are you stupid? Are you retarded? Like, I've noticed a lot on Twitter, on Twitter, like Spoonie will say stuff, and a lot of the things that he doesn't like to see are wrestlers doing stupid things. Daniel Bryan being in a match against Brock Lesnar, ever, especially after we saw what he did to John Cena, is a stupid thing. You do not put him in that match. I'm sorry. He deserved to do better in the Royal Rumble. I will give you that 100% of the time. But you do not put this guy in this match. And since that day, hardcore fans have routinely and repeatedly absolutely fucking shit on someone who is working his ass off. To the point where they will completely throw out wrestling logic to fit their rage. Like, this is something simple. And this is something that you've seen hundreds of thousands of times if you've watched a lot of wrestling. Where someone will hit a big move, or even a small move, or whatever, and they'll go for the pin. And the opponent kicks out, and they're like, what? How did that not work? And they go for the pin again. And it doesn't work. When have you ever seen someone make multiple pin attempts after a move? Doesn't matter how many moves. Have you ever seen someone do repeated pin attempts without doing an additional move? It's never worked. If you can find a case, please tell me. Because as far as I know, it's never worked. However, when Roman Reigns gets hit with 2 Styles clashes, and he kicks out after AJ Styles had tried to pin him and was pulled off, AJ Styles goes for an additional pin without doing another move, and he kicks out. And everyone's like, what? How did he do this? That's not possible. You're completely ignoring the way wrestling is. That's not what happens. It's never, oh, I was it didn't work, but this time it will. And that's what bothers me, is sometimes the hardcore fans will outright ignore what's going on because it doesn't fit what they want. They have gotten into this mindset that they always get what they want, or they should always get what they want. I don't know how, I don't know why, but they've gotten into this mindset, and it just doesn't work. So they'll routinely destroy matches, just completely shit on it, completely ruin it, because they feel justified in the matter. And this is just me effectively being an apologist for the big company that's putting on this entertainment and giving it to us. But it's at the same time, how can you even think for a second that when you are ignoring the way things have always happened, and just be like, oh, now suddenly I'm going to get everything I ever wanted. I'm going to get the guy who's putting on a crappy match. Admittedly, this is referring to Dean Ambrose, who I was a huge fan of, but he didn't put on a good match for a while. There was a lot of matches I saw where he was just phoning it in. He was just going through the motions. He didn't look enthused. And people were saying, this person needs to be the champion. Why is this person who's innovating, doing new things, visibly trying, why is he getting the rewards? But this guy who looks to me like he's just going through the motions, doing the same stuff. He did the lunatic lariat or whatever they fucking call it at this point, where he bounces off the ropes. He did it 7 times in a match. That's not innovation. That's fucking repeating yourself over and over and over, and that's boring. That's stupid. But it doesn't matter what I say. It really doesn't. Hardcore fans are going to look at me and say, oh, you just don't understand. Oh, you're just a casual fan. You don't know what you're talking about. We didn't get what we wanted, and so we're going to make everything worse because we can. And, that's what you're going to do. It's the way it's going to be. And there's nothing I can say against it. So, that's my opinion. No matter how sketchy it might be.